Yeah, yeah. Ball so hard, you better believe me, it's scary. It's basketball at the bar with Calvin and Barry. So put a tip in the jar, cause these dudes can really fill it up. Whether it's buckets you need or just a beer in a cup. We're here for fresh conversations and some delicious libations. Subscribe to the channel and turn on the notifications. My boys got you covered like you being guarded by payers. From the glove to the claw and everyone else in between. Calvin and Barry got everything that you need. For sure. So sit back, relax, because we're starting the show. It's basketball at the bar. Grab your drinks and let's go. Yeah. Grab a drink and let's go. Subscribe to the channel and turn on the notification. Calvin and Barry. Subscribe to the channel and turn on the notification. Let's get it.
What's up, ballers? Welcome back to the bar and happy Thursday, everyone. Hopefully you had a wonderful time last night at Wednesday night parties. I know I definitely did. I did, and I enjoyed the Kings defeating the Phoenix Suns last night as well. Well, welcome into the bar, everybody, where the takes are hot and the drinks are cold. If you're a basketball fan, make sure you smash up that like button down below, and please consider hitting that subscribe button as well. We put out fresh NBA content almost daily, and we are live every single Wednesday night for Wednesday night parties. All right, we got a ton to talk about today. We had 8 different games yesterday. We'll briefly touch on all those. We'll go over some NBA news, what's the top stories currently. We'll go over current NBA injuries and how they will affect the start of the regular season. And then we'll preview both games today. All right, let's go ahead here and jump into the show. So obviously, I always check Pro Sports Daily every single morning when I wake up to find all the top stories. I also obviously look on Twitter, right? You check Woj, you check Shams, you check Mark J. Spears, all those guys. But we can kind of go through this thing real quick and see what's going on. Number one, why your favorite team won't win the 2022-2023 NBA title. Well, my favorite team is the Sacramento Kings, and I don't think they even have a shot. So that article is not for me, apparently. Reasons to believe in and doubt the West top 4 contenders. I think we've already gone over that over the past week. A bunch of trade potential here, right? Jazz, Nets, Lakers trade features Seth Curry. We know the Lakers definitely need to add some shooting and potentially wanting to move Russell Westbrook. How does this work out for the Nets? I'm not really quite sure. I know the Jazz and the Lakers have been engaged in talks recently. The Jazz are still trying to offload some more of those veterans for draft picks and put themselves in a better spot for the future and winning this year's NBA draft lottery. Kevin Durant says Draymond Green punch won't derail the Warriors. Interesting. Kevin Durant seems to be taking Draymond Green's side in this situation, or maybe the Warriors side. We know that infamously Draymond Green was suspended 1 game for an interaction with Kevin Durant on the bench that spilled into the locker room. Obviously, there was no punches thrown or from what we've heard. However, Kevin Durant expects more of the same from the Golden State Warriors. On that topic, the Warriors are expected to welcome Draymond Green back to practice today, and he is expected to play in tomorrow's preseason finale. Give a shout out to the bouncer here in the chat. Thank you for joining in. I love the new name. But yeah, send me an email, man. If you just go to the About page on either Royal Rebounds or Basketball at the Bar, there's an email address tab. You hit click to show email. You'll get my email address, and you can reach out to me, and we can discuss whatever you would like. All right, Warriors and Draymond Green reached the tense accommodation stage of a turbulent marriage. This is all the same that we've been talking about, right? He punched Jordan Poole. I don't think it was acceptable. He's had multiple instances in the past. The KD one, the Steven Adams multiple kicks to the groin, trying to get LeBron during the finals, which ended up him getting suspended and them losing when they were up 3-1. So this is just kind of more of the same for me. All right, this Mavericks-Warriors trade features Draymond Green. Obviously, Draymond Green is all in the news right now, and everyone's expecting the Warriors to move on from him. I don't think they're going to move on. I think they hold on to him at least for the rest of the year. They figure it out. They potentially win another title or very, very close to, depending on health. And then at the end of the season, Draymond needs to decide whether he's opting into that $27 million player option or if he's opting out. I know the Detroit Pistons are potentially going to be offering him a max deal. So the Warriors cannot afford that. So I think they're kind of playing it by this year first, see what happens, and go from there. They definitely have a bunch of young players that are ready to get some more minutes as well. So losing Draymond Green would not be the end of the world for the Golden State Warriors. However, he's a big locker room presence, and I would say the vocal leader of the Golden State Warriors. So I don't expect him to be traded unless more information comes out and we hear, about some other crazy stories. Then maybe a potential. But at this moment, I'm not thinking he gets traded. Whether that's the right move or not is a whole different topic, and we can definitely discuss that later if you guys want. All right. Amid social media criticism, Nets Ben Simmons leans on Kyrie Irving. This is an interesting article, right? Ben Simmons has been hearing it for the past year and a half from the media, from players, and so is Kyrie Irving, right? So this kind of gives them something to bond over. We know that Kyrie Irving is not a big fan of, the media. He calls them pawns. He thinks that, they're not on his level, whatever. He's upset with them. Ben Simmons has got to be feeling the same way right now. So this could be a situation where these two guys bond on this issue. We know that Kyrie was not offered a contract extension by the Nets, so he is a free agent at the end of the year. Maybe they play it out kind of similar to the Warriors, right? Where they're like, okay, what can we do this year? We'll revisit the rest at the end of the offseason. Ben Simmons almost had a triple-double last night. And is looking like a perfect piece for the Brooklyn Nets. So this is good. This is good for the Nets. Ben Simmons and Kyrie Irving are bonding. NBA executives questioning DeAndre Hunter's Atlanta Hawks future. We know that the Atlanta Hawks brought in DeJounte Murray this offseason, and they've been looking pretty good. I like DeAndre Hunter a lot, but can they afford him with all the other guys they're paying, including Clint Capella and Trae Young and John Collins? We'll keep an eye on this. I'm a big fan of DeAndre Hunter, and maybe my Kings will sneak in here and pick up DeAndre Hunter because they got money to pay him. They need a defensive stopper and a guy that is very versatile. I like Hunter a lot. Nets finding right balance for Kevin Durant's minutes is key. Kevin Durant just turned 34 2 weeks ago. He's dealt with a ton of different injuries throughout his career, right? We know about the Achilles. We know about the knee injury. He had a foot injury when he was in Oklahoma City that forced him to miss basically an entire season. So as players start to age, not everybody's LeBron James, and we've even seen him get injured as of recently. But the Nets need to find the right balance so that Kevin Durant can be healthy when the playoffs start. I think they'll figure it out. Steve Nash is been around this league for a really, really long time, and they do have other talent they can lean on, like Kyrie Irving and Ben Simmons. So, and Joe Harris, and some of these other guys they brought in as well, Seth Curry. So, I think they can definitely find a balance here. But it is important because without Kevin Durant, this is not a championship caliber team, in my opinion. After making the Western Conference Finals, Luka Doncic and the Mavericks shake things up. This is an article by CBS Sports. Yeah, they added Christian Wood, which I thought was a huge addition for them. Last year, they traded their big man in Kristaps Porzingis to the Washington Wizards for Spencer Dinwiddie. I thought he did great for them off the bench last season. I love his versatility, his length. I like the way he sees the floor. I think he's a good complement to Luka Doncic. He can play with and without him. But I am an even bigger fan of Christian Wood. I think he brings another dimension to this Mavericks squad. Unfortunately, like I've been saying over the past couple weeks, I do not expect the Mavericks to make the Western Conference Finals again. I would love it if they did. I think that Luka Doncic is definitely MVP quality or caliber candidate this year. But I think they, maybe overachieved last year. I think they're a much better team this year, but I don't know if they're going to make it past a lot of these teams in the West. So I love what the Mavericks are doing. Maybe a couple more years, or maybe they surprise everybody and make it to the finals this year. That would definitely be a lot of fun to watch. Mike Monticello, I'm definitely looking at you. Kevon Looney, a key instrument in bringing Warriors back together after Draymond Green's punch. After the Warriors game just a couple nights ago, Steve Kerr announced after the game that Draymond Green would not be facing any suspension from the Golden State Warriors. He was fined. That amount was kept private, and we know that he removed himself for the team for a few days to let the team, quote-unquote, heal. But Kerr really praised Kevon Looney in that interview. He said that he was a huge piece in making this thing work. That's what happens when you have a championship team, right? And you're able to constantly bring guys back and add young, new talent as you have people emerge like Kevon Looney that have been there for a while, have won championships, and are kind of like a more baseline voice than a Draymond Green, right? Draymond Green's a great leader, but he's kind of up and down, right? He's very emotional. Kevon Looney seems to be the opposite of that, right? He's very, very smooth, steady guy. So I think he was probably the voice of reason in this. Obviously, Kerr had a lot to say as well after he got punched by Michael Jordan famously at a practice, and they went on to win a championship that year and set the record for 72 wins in a season, which Kerr's team, funnily enough, broke. Funnily, is that even a word? Broke just a few years ago with the Golden State Warriors, but they lost in the finals to LeBron James. So Kevon Looney, great Warrior, great player. I'm interested to see if he moves on from the Warriors next offseason because they have a lot of financial decisions to make. As important as he is he as big as an impact on the basketball court as Draymond Green? Is he as big of an impact as Jordan Poole or Andrew Wiggins? Those are the three guys they really need to pay. We'll see if Jordan Poole signs this extension before the season starts. But I'd be interested to see what happens with Kevon Looney. Russell Westbrook doesn't want to join Patrick Beverley's defensive huddle after fouling his man. Oh, man, a lot of different highlights came out of that Lakers loss the other night. Russell Westbrook getting into it with a defender, throwing the ball at him, getting the ball thrown back at it, throwing it back at him again, not being in huddles, being all over the floor. Didn't seem to really be engaged with his teammates. But we also had a quote come out this morning from Patrick Beverley saying that him and Russell Westbrook have got along great with the Lakers. And in his 3 to 4 weeks of being there, he would say that Russell Westbrook was, quote unquote, probably his best friend on the Lakers so far. So interesting situation here. We'll see how this plays out. We know Russell Westbrook has been the drama center for the Lakers over the last year. Whether he gets moved this year, we'll see if other teams are willing to take him on in his massive 1-year contract for a couple first-round picks and give up some more talent for the Lakers to help improve that roster. Who really wants to help the Lakers anyways? I would not if it were me. All right, some more news about guys signing 1-year deals. Campazzo, also many guys were actually cut today. I'm not going to go down the entire list because there are a bunch of people that were cut today. The rosters are definitely, or teams are getting their rosters ready for the regular season. We saw guys like Mo Harris get cut. The Sacramento Kings made a couple cuts here, including Quinn Cook. Kent Bazemore as well. So a ton of teams are, thinning their rosters down, getting ready for the regular season. So if you want more information, just go over to Mark Stein or Woj on Twitter, and you'll see a list of all the guys that are getting cut currently. Stephen A. Smith makes wild claim about Draymond Green Jordan Poole fight. This was an interesting clip, right? Stephen A. Smith goes live on there and he says that Jordan Poole was knocked out cold after that. We heard that, it wasn't a big deal and he finished practice and all that stuff. But if he got knocked out, he potentially could have had a concussion. And would the Warriors let him finish practice? I'm not really sure. Stephen A. Smith always makes wild claims and wild takes. So I don't really know how true this is. We saw the video. It was definitely a very, very hard punch. Some people say you could see Jordan get up towards the end of that video. I'm not really sure. I just think it's a horrible incident that the Warriors definitely need to move past. Sixers fan disappointed after brutal Isaiah Joe roster decision. More players getting cut by teams and fan favorites are included in that. That's for sure. Former NBA player Ben Gordon arrested, charged in connection with 2020 robbery. It's been a horrible week for Ben Gordon after getting arrested at an airport for striking his 10-year-old child. Now, he's back arrested again in connection with a 2020 robbery of a woman's cell phone. Kind of a weird situation. But, with the price of phones these days, right? And, misdemeanors and felonies and whatever those, standards are set out, taking somebody's phone or damaging somebody's phone can have some real repercussions. Matt Barnes says Russell Westbrook might slap Skip Bayless when he sees him in the street. Skip Bayless making more bad takes, as always, hating on LeBron, hating on Russell Westbrook. Matt's keeping it real here, and Russell Westbrook definitely keeps it real as well. Phoenix Suns reportedly declined to include Cam Johnson in a trade for Kevin Durant. Wow, this is an interesting story here. You know, Durant was in the news all summer long. He demanded a trade from the Brooklyn Nets. How close the Nets really were to trading Durant, we're not really sure. You know, they said they were sticking with their coach and their GM, but then they stuck with everybody on that team. And honestly, that's probably the best thing that team could have done, because when trading a guy like Kevin Durant, you're obviously not going to get equal value. The dude is, I would say a top 3 player in the NBA. According to some people, maybe the best player in the NBA. Some people maybe top 5. But in my opinion, he's definitely a top 3 player and one of the best scorers, shooters in the NBA. That's for sure. Cam Johnson is not a deal breaker for me, but I don't know what the rest of the package included. And honestly, we don't know if the Nets really were going to make a deal, or if they were just, basically using Phoenix as leverage, saying, we want 10 first-round picks, we want Ayton, Cam Johnson, Booker, whatever else. But interesting thing here. I'm sure we'll hear in the next couple years about how close a trade actually was to happening, because I don't know if it was. I really don't. All right, more Draymond Green trades, this time to the Chicago Bulls. Don't see it happening. Patrick Beverley knows exactly what he's doing with the Lakers and Russell Westbrook. This is an article by The Athletic. This is kind of what I touched on earlier. Basically, Patrick Beverley saying that Russell Westbrook is his best friend on the Lakers. We know they had a rivalry after Westbrook was undercut by Beverley, hurt his knee, missed some games. That was actually like the first games I think that Westbrook missed in his career. He didn't miss any games in high school, college, and like his first, I want to say 4 or 5 years in the NBA before this incident happened. A lot of people call it a dirty play, and they kind of had a back and forth over a few years. But in this story, Beverley talks about there was a game where Beverley and Westbrook were playing against each other, and Westbrook got tickets for a family member of Patrick Beverley, and Patrick Beverley really has a lot of respect for him after that. He said he was a real dude, and like I said, he thinks that Westbrook is basically his best friend currently on the Lakers. Whether that lasts, we'll see. But interesting. They seem to be on the same page, which is good. Or at least Beverley is on Westbrook's page. We don't know what page Westbrook's on. All right, we talked about the 5 NBA players with big contracts yesterday. The Suns' Jay Crowder obviously asked for a trade, and Cam Reddish unlikely to receive a Knicks contract. So I think that's all for current NBA news. Let's dive here into the schedule, and we can take a look here at yesterday's games. As I mentioned, 8 games yesterday. There was a ton of basketball to watch. I think I caught like 3 of these games, and then I watched a bunch of highlights as well. But, Cleveland wins 105-99 over Atlanta. Donovan Mitchell, 24 points for him, 17 for DeJounte Murray. I'm really, really high on this Cleveland team, and Evan Mobley is getting healthy. He should be ready to return pretty soon. The Knicks take on the Pacers. They lose 109-100. Benedict Mathurin, one of Calvin's guys that he circled in the draft, had a huge game, 27 points off the bench for him for the Pacers. Interesting to see what they're doing. Does this make Buddy Hield expendable? Could he be included in a Lakers trade? Maybe. We'll see. And RJ Barrett, 21 points for the Knicks in the loss. All right, Charlotte, another loss for them, 94-99. Joel Embiid has 19 points in this game. Gordon Hayward has 16. We know that LaMelo Ball got injured the past game, and he is out for a couple weeks. So quite unfortunate. We'll go over injury news here in a second. The New Orleans Pelicans take on the Miami Heat. They lose 120-103, 25 points for Bam Adebayo. Willie Hernangomez, 17 for the Pelicans. Zion Williamson leaves this game after rolling his ankle. An unfortunate situation, but it seems to be more precautionary. So I do expect him to be ready next week for game 1, but we'll take a look at that here in a second. The Brooklyn Nets take on the Milwaukee Bucks. They win 107-97. Kyrie shines, 23 points. As I mentioned, Ben Simmons almost has a triple-double in this game, and Giannis with 24 points. We heard some updates on Chris Middleton. We know he shedded the cast just, I believe, a week or two ago. He's doing some light non-contact work, so he's slowly working his way back, and I expect him to return probably within the next month or so. And yeah, as the bouncer points out here, the Bucks are 0-5. They need to get healthy. Yes, this just is preseason, and a bunch of these games, Giannis and company did not play. They did fly to Abu Dhabi, which I heard is like a 14-hour trip one way and 14 hours back. So they did a ton of traveling. I know the Warriors traveled as well, going to Tokyo. It did not affect them it did not affect them the same, but interesting. And also, yeah, you threw out Marvin Bagley was injured as well. We'll talk about that in the injury section. All right, we had the Minnesota Timberwolves take on the LA Lakers. Minnesota wins 118-113. Lakers drop another one, 22 points for Naz Reid, 25 for LeBron James. All we could talk about during this game was the potential pairing of Karl Anthony Towns and Rudy Gobert. What could that look like, having potentially the best offensive center in the NBA combined with the best defensive center? We could see both of these guys play on Friday, so make sure you stay tuned for that. Not a lot of big names are playing on Friday, but they potentially could be, so keep your eyes on the Minnesota Timberwolves. All right, my favorite game of the night, the Sacramento Kings take on the Phoenix Suns. Sacramento wins 105-104 after falling down early. Keegan Murray did not play in this game. Rashawn Holmes did not play in this game. They were both ill with a non-COVID related illness. They both returned to practice today, so they seem to be better. We saw Trey Lyles start in this game, but the Kings started off very, very slow, and Phoenix did not play any starters in this game. Sacramento ends the second quarter on a 13-2 run. They play well in the third quarter, and then they almost fumble the bag late in the fourth. I'm just happy that Kings get another victory. They are currently undefeated going into Friday for their last game of the preseason. All right, Denver takes on the Clippers in LA. Denver wins 126-115. No Jamal Murray in this game, but we did see the Joker play. And we saw Michael Porter Jr. We saw John Wall come off the bench in this game. Paul George started. And no Kawhi Leonard. We did see him recently, but he was not available to play in this game. Probably just rest for him. We know he's working his way back in after missing all of last season. So, I think he'll be ready for the start of regular season. Ish Smith, 15 points in this game. Norman Powell, 34. All right, we got two games to talk about today, but before we do that, let's dive here into the injury reports. So I'm just going to kind of go over this real quick. As you can see, there are a ton of people listed day to day, and most people will not play on Friday. It is the last day of preseason, and then we have a few days off before the start of the regular season on Tuesday. So a lot of guys listed day to day here. Unfortunately, Danilo Gallinari is not day-to-day. He is out. I think he's going to end up missing the entire season. Maybe he can come back late if they make the playoffs, or not if, but when they make the playoffs, depending on how far they go. But unfortunately, I'm looking at Danilo Gallinari as another lost season for him, unfortunately. Day-to-day, Marcus Smart, Al Horford, and Jason Tatum. And Robert Williams is out. He is sidelined for 8 to 12 weeks after undergoing a successful arthroscopic procedure in his left knee. This was reported just under a month ago. So he probably has another 2.5 months of rehab here. So we expect to see him towards the end of the year. All right, Brooklyn Nets. We got a bunch of guys day to day here. And TJ Warren, quite confusing, man. That dude is still dealing, I believe, with the foot injury. He was a big free agent acquisition for them this offseason, and I think he will bring a lot to the team this year when he can get on the court. It's just unfortunate that he keeps dealing with setbacks. Joe Harris, progressing in the right direction, optimistic he'll play in the season opener. He missed pretty much all of last season. Joe Harris, great three-point shooter, can definitely help the Brooklyn Nets this year. All right, Seth Curry still hasn't been cleared for 5-on-5 work, but he should be ready and listed as day-to-day as well. Charlotte Hornets, PJ Tucker Day-to-day, LaMelo Ball, day-to-day with a grade 2 left ankle sprain. I would say this day-to-day is more like a week-to-week because I don't know if LaMelo will be ready for opening night. It's not a major injury, but it's something you definitely don't want to take too lightly because if he re-injures it, he could miss significant time. And then Scotty Lewis is still listed as out. As far as the Bulls go, we have DeMar DeRozan and Zach LaVine listed as day-to-day. We know Lonzo Ball is still dealing, rehabbing from that knee surgery that apparently went well this time. No timetable really on him returning. Justin Lewis is currently out as well. As far as the Cleveland Cavaliers go, you can look at all these guys day-to-day, right? A lot of these guys will not travel on Friday with the team. So do not expect a lot of players playing on Friday. We're going to see a bunch of bench guys go. All right, Ricky Rubio, after missing the majority of last season with a knee injury, he said at a press conference on Monday that he hopefully returns sometime in December. But he also added in who knows. So definitely keep an eye on Ricky Rubio. I know he's there for just more than just his play on the court. He's there for leadership. But he definitely gives them another look at the point guard position, especially after dealing Colin Sexton. So we'll keep our eyes out for him in December. Bertans, day-to-day for the Mavericks. Looking at the Nuggets here, we have a bunch of guys listed as day-to-day. DeAndre Jordan, Jeff Green, Bones Highland, Jamal Murray. All right, look at the Pistons here. Bunch of guys day-to-day. We do have Marvin Bagley. The report came out on Bagley saying he has avoided a serious injury but will miss time to begin the regular season. He went down 1 minute into the game 2 nights ago. Really, really unfortunate. He needed help off the court. It was a knee injury, but they say he avoided a serious injury. It's just a sprain. So unfortunate for the Detroit Pistons and Marvin Bagley. They just gave him a contract extension. So hopefully he can get back on the court sooner rather than later. All right, Golden State Warriors are looking good. As I mentioned, guess who's returning to practice today? Draymond Green, expected to play on Friday. Iguodala also out here, but it says conditioning. So he will not play in the regular season opener against the Lakers on Tuesday. But they don't really need him, do they? All right, Houston Rockets are dealing with some minor injuries to their number 1 overall pick, or their first-round pick, Jabari Smith. Ankle injury. He will be out Friday's game. Could potentially play in Game 1. And a few other guys as well. Pacers, bunch of day-to-day guys. Clippers, Kawhi Leonard, obviously ton of day-to-day people here. Lonnie Walker, we saw him get injured in the Lakers game, I believe 2 nights ago. No updates on that. Doesn't seem to be a serious injury, just more a precaution. All right, Memphis Grizzlies, Jaren Jackson Jr., he's out, dude. He's out for a while, 4 to 6 months for a foot injury. Really, really unfortunate. He's probably going to return, I would say, maybe February at this point. The Grizzlies are in a tough spot here after having an incredible year last year, which Jaren Jackson Jr. dealt with some injuries as well, but he was a huge part of. They need him if they're going to make a run here in the playoffs. So hopefully they can get him back around February and he can remain healthy. Maybe this will be a blessing in disguise. Maybe he gets some rest here while he's doing his rehab, and he can be fresh in February, fresh February. Danny Green was traded, along with the number 23 overall pick on Thursday from the Sixers to the Grizzlies for DeAnthony Melton. No updates yet on Danny Green, but he is still dealing with an injury as well. A couple guys on the Miami Heat here day to day, and the Milwaukee Bucks. I talked about Chris Middleton. He should be back hopefully in the next couple weeks. And then Joe Ingles said that the Bucks general manager says that Joe Ingles will realistically return sometime in January. Interesting. Great rebounder, great three-point shooter. Old man. Doesn't really do a lot else, but can definitely help this Milwaukee Bucks team that dealt with injuries last year in the NBA playoffs. So they need him back. All right, Minnesota Timberwolves, a bunch of guys here listed as day-to-day. And like I said, we expect Towns and Gobert to both play on Friday. They need to get some run together before the regular season starts. Pelicans day-to-day, we talked about Zion Williamson. Pelicans coach Willie Green said Thursday that Williams' ankle is doing fine and his ankle is not expected to be a long-term problem. Good news for the Pelicans and Zion Williams. Brandon Ingram is progressing back and should be back on the court in the next couple days, potentially Friday for the preseason game against the Hawks. All right, more day-to-day here. Jackson Hayes' elbow suffered a torn, I'm not even going to pronounce that, a torn ligament in his left elbow in last Friday's preseason game with the Pistons and will be reevaluated in 2 weeks. Tough injury for him. He's been playing really, really well for them, and he's dealt with injuries in the past as well. So hopefully Jackson Hayes can get back on the court. And I think there's still a domestic violence or some kind of legal issues surrounding him as well. I'll do some more research on that and get back to you guys. All right, New York Knicks, couple day-to-days. Not surprised to see Derrick Rose on here. Quite unfortunate, though. Oklahoma City, a bunch of day-to-day guys. Everyone wants to know when SGA will be ready to be back on the court. He's still listed as day-to-day with the knee injury. Haven't heard much. I don't know if we'll see him on Friday, but I definitely think we'll see him next week at the start of the regular season. And then Chet Holmgren, obviously out for the entire year. With the Liz Frank injury, man, what a blow to them. But like the other injury I talked about to Jaren Jackson Jr. could end up being a blessing in disguise. If they won the draft lottery this year and they got Victor Wembanyama and Chet Holmgren inside, that would be a nasty, nasty duo. Orlando Magic, we're still looking at Jonathan Isaac, dealing with a hamstring injury. When will he get back on the court? The Magic really, really need him. Really need him. Also, we saw a leg injury happen to Jalen Suggs. Seems to be minor. He's day-to-day as well. He should be back on the court very, very soon. Markelle Fultz, I believe he's dealing with, it's like a toe or a finger injury. He's listed as out. No timetable yet. Another guy, man, that's just dealt with so many injuries. Really, really unfortunate. Yeah, the bouncer OKC is tanking. That's for sure. But hey, if you're a fan, you still want to see your first round draft pick play, right? Phoenix Suns, ton of guys not playing, right? They did not play last night against the Sacramento Kings. Will probably rest on Friday as well. Portland Trailblazers, Gary Payton, who will miss the start of the regular season with this abdomen issue. Hopefully he'll come back soon. Oliver Sarr out. Sprained his wrist in Tuesday's game against the Kings. Sorry about that. He'll be reevaluated in a week. Sacramento Kings, I mentioned Keegan Murray and Rashawn Holmes both returned to practice today, so no worries there. Spurs, a couple more day-to-days here. Same with the Raptors and the Jazz and the Wizards. The only guy we really need to keep an eye on here is Corey Kispert. Wizards coach Wes Unseld Jr. said Tuesday that Kispert's ankle recovery is going well and appears to be ahead of schedule. Keep an eye on him. I was really high on him in the draft, and I'm circling basically the Washington Wizards this year, right? This is the year I think that they need to figure out who they are and what they're doing, right? Do you trade Bradley Beal, who's still in COVID protocols? I'm surprised he's not on this list. Was bringing in Porzingis the right move? Can some of these young guys in Denny Advia, Vernon Carey, and Corey Kispert, can they really help make you a playoff team? It's interesting. We'll see. Wizards are a team to keep an eye on this season. They either become buyers or sellers at the deadline. I don't think there's an in-between. All right, let's talk about today's games. We have 2 preseason games today. Some exciting, some not so exciting. I don't know how many of these guys are actually going to be playing in this game. But first off, we have the Memphis Grizzlies taking on the Detroit Pistons at 1 p.m. Hawaii Standard Time. It's on NBA TV. I don't think a lot of guys are going to be playing in this game. I mentioned, Marvin Bagley's out. Maybe we'll see Cade Cunningham in this game, Sadiq Bey, Jaden Ivey. As far as Memphis, they're probably going to end up resting a lot of these starters, getting ready for the regular season. So I'll probably watch highlights of this game. Don't know if I'm going to watch the whole thing. I will definitely be watching, some football today because it is Thursday. Jeremiah, are all these day-to-days legit? Seems like they are just listed so players can rest. Yeah, Jeremiah, shout out to you and welcome into the channel. Thanks for watching. Yeah, I think it's similar to like fantasy football, right? Where they just put that Q next to people because they're not 100% sure that person's healthy. It could help with resting, or just, coach's decision telling people basically, you know, it's preseason. We don't need you to tweak anything. You've already got your work in, or maybe it's part of their schedule, right? They're like, okay, we're going to play them game 1, game 3, and then kind of rest them throughout the rest. So day to days, like I said, I'm not really looking too deep into. Some players could be day to day and they could be out weeks, and other players, they're just hour to hour, I guess you could say. Kind of a weird designation. All right, the second game of the day, the Oklahoma City Thunder will take on the San Antonio Spurs. I don't think SGA will play in this game. And honestly, there's not a lot of people to look for in this game. I mean, if you like Josh Giddey, you can watch him. I like Lou Dort. But this is a trash game, in my opinion. Honestly, it's not on TV. I'm watching highlights. Both of these teams are battling for number 1 pick in the NBA draft. So not really looking forward to too much basketball today, but that's okay. We had 8 games yesterday, and we got a ton of games tomorrow, including a game for my Sacramento Kings against the LA Lakers, which is a big one. You could just take a look here real quick. We'll go over all these games tomorrow morning, and we'll show some highlights of today's games as well. So that's about it for today. Thank you guys so much for watching. Hope you enjoyed the video. Please don't forget to smash up that like button, hit that subscribe button. We'll see you all tomorrow morning. Have a wonderful Thursday. And as always, don't forget to tip your bartender.